Stream starting apparently. I don't know whether it's on. Stream health is not looking great, so we'll just wait a couple of minutes and see. Nope, nothing's coming up. Excellent. Here we go. It's always cringy when that happens. I'm looking at a different camera today, not my usual camera. This is my camera that I do the courses that I've been building for Pact recently, and the green screen's behind me because I've been working all day. If anyone's been following me on Instagram, you'll know that I've been this weekend has been full of Python code. I've been doing a Python clean coding course for Pact. Today's been all of editing. Yesterday was a lot of recording, and also throughout the evenings of last week. So I just thought that because everything is set up, we have the green screen behind, the recording software is configured, I've got the lights in the right places. I thought because everything is aligned correctly, I might as well do a live stream. Haven't done one in a long time, so I do apologize for that. I've just been super busy, super busy. The podcast, I should mention that has taken off, it's that has consumed a great portion of time. I'm loving that. The opportunities of speaking to some really interesting folks about what they do, how they got into coding, what they're doing with coding, how they're teaching other people coding. It's fantastic. I would have never have dreamt that I would ever get that opportunity to do that. And the podcast is allowing me to have those conversations with some truly fantastic people. So if you're here and you're just watching the tutorials and you just think that this channel is all about tutorials, then no. Do check out the howtocodewell.fm website and subscribe to the How to Code Well podcast, because every week I've been doing a podcast, an interview with some leader, some thought-provoking guest on web development and coding. But that's every Friday. So do check out that, and you can also see the schedule as well. So howtocodewell.fm/schedule. Anyway, enough of the plugging for the podcast. Let's talk about some PHP. Now, I've got a meeting tomorrow with a client, so I can't really be too late tonight. So this is going to be a shorter live coding class than I've done before, I think. But I want to get my brain reset into the PHP world, because tomorrow is a PHP day. And for the last few days, I've been doing nothing but Python. So I need to reset my thinking. And a project that I built a long time ago was, hang on, is it that camera or is it that camera? I think it's that camera. Have I been looking in the wrong place? I'll have to check when I change the scenes over which camera I need to look at. So yes. A project that I've been working on for a long time. I'll just show you. If I go to, where is it? Is it this button here? There we go. And it's that camera. Oh, good. Nope. There we go. Yes, it is this camera. It's this camera. So, a project that I've been working on for a while is the Symfony Console Docker template. It's a bit of a mouthful. This is a templated Symfony Console command, and it uses Docker. So I click onto this thing here. So this is PFWD is my GitHub username, or one of many. And so this is, I'll just explain what this does. So it's not technically built on the Symfony framework, as in it's not the Symfony framework that you just download and then you've got all of your Symfony bells and whistles. This is completely bare bones. This is the Symfony Console, and it's nothing more than the Symfony Console. it uses Docker, and I've been using this in anger with various different projects recently, where I've been forking this project, this Symfony Console template within Docker, to other scripts and or other console commands. I've used it recently with Vimeo. Excuse me. I've used it recently with SQS, with Amazon. And it's been really good, really good. Very lightweight, very useful, very quick to run and use. So in the installation notes here, I've got how you can create the Docker machine and how you set that up, and then how you build the whole thing. And that is it. Docker compose up -d --build. That will build you the whole application. And then you can just attack it like you would normally attack a Symfony Console script. So you just do docker compose exe. So that's, you're executing a command against the container. The container that's built is called console. You're in as bash. And down here, the list available of commands, you can go and run the bin console command from that container, from console. And then here is a test command. So I thought what I would do is I would run this, demonstrate this actually working, and also update it and change it a little bit, and also talk about Symfony and how you can use the Symfony console, how you can create console scripts, because I know that there is a lot of interest on the channel with Symfony, and frameworks in general, right? And I'm not overly happy with just doing like a fully fledged framework tutorial course type thing, because frameworks change so many times, and I would like this channel to be more about teaching the fundamentals of programming and coding, rather than be sort of like bottlenecked or pigeonholed into a framework niche. But because this is just console commands, it's not actually the whole entire Symfony 4 framework, I thought this would be an easy sort of slow transition. Not easy, I shouldn't say easy. This should be a nice transition into Symfony from just writing console commands. So I've also got how we can delete containers and uninstall containers. So this is the Symfony Console template within Docker. This is my project. PFWD is my handle on GitHub. It's also the handle on my personal Twitter account as well. So what I'll do is, let's see, what's the scene I need to change to. I've been doing so much stuff recently on this recording software, specifically for the clean coding course. That is it, that one? Yeah, that way. That it's slightly different. Let's just double check which camera am I looking at. So is it? It's still this one. Okay, good. Right, so let's see. Let's go back into here. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just show you ignore everything on the right, so I'll just bring that over to here. I'll just show you the layout of this. So this is obviously the root directory. And you've got a bin folder. In here you have the console, and you've got the src, so that's where all your custom bits and pieces. I'm also using Codeception. I really do dig Codeception. I really like Codeception. So when I go and test these things, I can write Codeception tests. It's kind of like I don't want to use the word wrapper, but it's built on top of PHP Unit, and it can do a lot more interesting stuff, and it gives you the kind of like an almost BHAT kind of way of writing your tests. So you can write things like, I want to go to this page, I want to see this thing, I can see this element, I can fill in this field. This is very useful when you're doing acceptance tests. I also use it, I know this is going into side rant now, but I also use it for APIs, because you can test your API responses very, very easily using Codeception. So yeah, we've got Codeception, we've got the console.json, which I should just show you. Let's just bring that over here. So scroll right to the top here. We've got, what have we got? So we've got the name, fine. We've got the description. It's a library. Maybe that needs to be a project. I can never remember. This is the author section. So it's a very simple composer.json file using PSR4. So everything in src app goes to that namespace. And it literally is just the Symfony Console. Symfony Console 4.0, so that tilde there means that it's 4.0, and also it must be it must be PHP 7.2 or higher. Another great tool that I might demonstrate tonight is PHP Stan. PHP Stan is fantastic for just checking your code for errors and for warnings and issues. It's a static analysis tool. I might talk about it more later on. I might show you that, but I think it does warrant its own tutorial because I use it very, very frequently, like pretty much all the time. I certainly do recommend PHP Stan and Codeception for PHP developers to, if you want to up your game, then do use those two things. And then here we have the configuration. So this is just saying that everything needs to go in the bin directory. This is the bin directory definition. And also you've got the Symfony bin definition too. So that's pretty much it. It's not a massive composer file. It's only that is really the required thing. So let's bring that back out and have a look. So we got the README file. That's the same file that you have seen on GitHub, which I just demonstrated. And let's take a look. So the vendor directory is completely empty at the moment. And this is because in the Docker Compose file, the vendor directory is actually held in the Docker volume. So it's in the Docker volume, not actually on the host machine. So it's not bind mounted. It could be, I suppose. The app folder is, but the vendor directory, when I ran that from the Docker container, it was obviously went straight into the Docker volume, not on the host machine. And then we have various bits and pieces for the console itself. So making sure that TTY is passed through and the standard input is open. So it's fairly light, I think. What have I got in the git ignore? Okay, so we're ignoring everything in vendor because I don't want anything in vendor up on the git GitHub thing, repo. I can't talk tonight. And then I want to ignore everything in bin and the composer locked file and also the console. I want to keep the console. But I want to make sure that we have the... so hang on, let's just see. That doesn't make sense, does it? No, I want to keep console and I want to remove everything from bin. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So in src, we have our app directory. And remember, if I went to the console.json or composer.json file, I should say, we are auto-loading that PSR4 styly, sr, and then app. So we have app and then command. We have a single test command here. Let's open that up and see what's going on. So this is pretty noddy. All it's doing is it's saying that this is a test command. And it's app and then test. That is the command argument that you have to pass through, or the command that you pass through to the console command. Then here we have the execution of that. So it just writes a line saying this command does simply nothing. But the beauty of this is that this is now set up as a template, so I can then use this when I clone this or fork this directory. I have immediately set up a Docker environment with the console container, and I can run Symfony commands from it. There's no hassle of having to install anything like Symfony at all, because it all happens with the Docker compose command. So with that being said, as I've just said how simple it is, let's go and try it out. I haven't tried this out for several months since I actually created this, because I got taken off of a project and put on another one. So you know how it rolls. One thing I haven't showed you, perhaps I should show you before I go any further, is the Docker file. Why not? So the Docker file, again, I'm using as bare bones as possible. So this is straight from PHP 7.2 CLI stretch. So it's nothing but PHP here. And then we're doing a apt-get update, apt-get install. We want git and zip because they are the things that are required by Composer to download packages. And of course, we're doing a curl to get Composer because we need Composer. And we're installing that into user local bin with the file name. If I can just move that over, we can see that the file name is Composer, although I think that's cut off on the screen there, so do apologize about that. Okay, so we're setting the work directory as app, and we're putting that into /app. So in the container, this whole script goes into /app, and then we're running from the Docker file, run Composer install, and then we're issuing the command of php-a, which puts you into the PHP interpreter. So awesome. We can now run commands through Docker Compose exec that will execute commands using the php-a argument. So that's all good. Let's go and try it out. I do apologize if anyone's hearing scratching from my door. It's my cat who's trying to come in, and I did allow him in earlier, but he decided to pull down half of my green screen, so I've kicked him out. So let's go and give this thing a whirl. Let's see, what do I need to do? Is it... let's just have a little click around. I've gone and changed these scenes, so I can't remember which one I need to change to. Is it that one? No, I'm kind of hovering in completely no man's land. Is it that one? There we go. So I've got the window up here. Excellent. So now I can do a Docker machine start, and it was Symfony. I believe it was Symfony Console, I think. I hope. Let's press enter. Yep, it is. It hasn't given me any errors. That's always good. I've got so many Docker machines that it does get a little bit confusing sometimes. This can sometimes take a bit of time. I'm not sure why my recording studio is starting to flicker. That's a bit disconcerting. Sometimes it's flickering around the corners. I do apologize. Maybe it's because I'm asking my machine to do too much work. Come on, how long does it take to wait for an IP? Wow. I need hold music. I need something. There we are. I should say this isn't beer. I wish it was. It's like 10:30 on a Sunday night. And like I said before, I've got a meeting tomorrow morning. So I need to get some beauty sleep. So I can't be long. So that's all good. That seems to have happened. So I can do Docker machine env. Let's just copy that in. Need to change that. So I normally use the Z shell. So this isn't the Z shell. So all of my shortcut keys, they're just not what I expect. On my laptop, I use the Z shell, which is fantastic, or the ZSH shell. So this is just standard bash, I think. I can't remember. I configured this machine a long time ago. So Docker machine env, and it's called Symfony Console. So a Docker machine, for those that don't know, a Docker machine is oops, what's going on here? Regenerate certs. I'll get to the Docker machine explanation in just a minute. Let me just solve this. Da, 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 da. Yes, that's fine. Do your thing. Oh, this is come on. There we go. It was coming off of the page. Yeah, so sorry, Docker machine. Docker machine is a machine, right? It's a virtual machine with the Docker engine on it. So you can then use your Docker magic in the Docker machine. You can also use it to configure remote machines as well, like Docker swarms. But let's not even go into that depth yet. Let's just focus on what I want to achieve today. So let's go to. I'm going to have to env that again. Marvelous, and it gives me an eval. So this is just evaluating the variables that are here. You see those exports. So that's just evaluating it to the shell. Right, awesome. Let's just clear down the screen, make a little bit of room. So now I should just go to Docker, Docker ps-a. Let's just see what's what. So we do have this, and it is still up. That's cool. Awesome. So let's go to the browser and have a look at one of the commands that I can apparently run. So I could run this one, but that's a bit boring. Let's run this one. This is the Symfony command to bring up the console. Let's copy that in and go back to the terminal, like so. Make sure that that is called console. Names, Symfony Console, maybe not. Although this is, sorry, this is using Docker Compose, so that's fine. Because that's the service name. I'll just show you. Cat Docker Compose. The service name is console, so you can trigger. You can not trigger. That's not the right word. You can target services using the Docker Compose command. So let's clear that down. So I can do. Sorry, I'm going all over the place. Oops. Docker ps-a. Why was that an error? No container found for console 1. Why does things never work when you want them to? Let me have a look. Let me have a think. Can I do docker exec-it? Let's go into this one. Can I go in as bash? I can go in as bash, and I can do php-v. So I have PHP 7.2.17, and I can also do bin console. So there's the console command, and there is my test command, which is apt test. But why can't I do it from console, from the composer? Sorry, Docker Compose. Why is that being a pain? Let me just double check. Ooh, what's that? Sorry, I got a message. That's all good. Twitter is going nuts. So let's do Docker Compose. So list containers. So I could do docker compose ls to or ps. Sorry. So that should do the same thing. Ooh, that's interesting. It's not actually listing any of the containers. Huh. Okay. Ah, hang on. Where am I on my system? No, I'm definitely there. Docker compose. do. So build, bundle, events, logs. Let's just do a docker compose down. Let's take those down. So if I did a docker ps-a, that's strange. It's almost like this terminal window isn't attached properly to the machine. So docker machine active. Docker machine stop. No, let's just continue on, because this is docker compose. Let's just bring it down, bring it back up again. Or let's just build it, sorry. So up -d and then build. Let's just build it from scratch. So this is running the Docker file that I demonstrated earlier. So it's going through the motions. It's using the cache a lot because these images are already stored in cache. The one that usually takes the longest time, of course, is Composer install. And it also, of course, if you change anything on the files in your src, for instance, or anywhere, to be honest, it will rebuild this because we're doing the add at the top here. So regardless of that, it will mean that the cache layers below that will be invalidated or cache busted, and so we would be reprocessing all of those again, including this Composer install. So hopefully once this works, we should have those containers running, or that container running, and I can use the Symfony Console through Docker Compose, hopefully. Right. It's quite a lot of packages that you have to download just to get the Symfony Console to work. I appreciate that some of this is also to do with Codeception and PHP, PHP Stan. For example, I've got a feeling that things like the PHP unit stuff, and certainly the PHP unit wrapper, which is just flown by, and the Codeception stub stuff and the bhat gherkins, they are Codeception dependencies, I believe. So this would work a lot quicker if they weren't there. But still, it's quite a lot of packages just for the Symfony Console. But that's just the way the web is these days. You have to just unfortunately download all of these packages. So it's now doing its thing. It's successfully built, and it's created that console. So if I did docker compose ps, yay, we now have our container. So I should now be able to do docker compose exec and it's console, because that's the name of the service, bin console. There we go. So that's what I was trying to do beforehand. I don't know why it didn't work. Something to do with the Docker machine, I think, and the fact that it wasn't attached properly to this terminal. I'll have to have a look at that after this stream. But it means that I can simply do, or I don't like the word simply. It's not good. This means that I can do app test. So this is going to run this command here, app test. So if I run that, then it'll just say this command does nothing. Okay, so that's the Docker side of it. Fine. Let's go ahead and play with it in PHP. So I'm just going to turn off this terminal and then find where PHP Storm is hidden. Go into src. We're going to create a new command. And I'm going to just call this name, or let's just call it username command. Yeah, that's fine. I need to change that to be the name of the class, so username command. Just for sanity's sake, I changed the comment to. We're extending command, that's all fine. Don't worry too much about these warnings that PHP Storm is throwing. I haven't really configured this correctly. So we're going to set it a description. So this will set the user name. Let's just bring that out a little bit just so I can show you a little bit more. We can also add some other things. So we're going to do this. Whoops, if I can type properly. That's not a percentage, it's a $sign. This, we can configure it. And we can execute it, and we can do other bits and pieces too. I just want to have a look, see what... oh, that's the base function. God, my cat is going nuts at the door. Bear with me just a minute. I just need to open the door. What's up? Don't you dare pull down that green screen. My cat is now wandering around the floor. He's gone behind the green screen. And now he's gone all the way around the green screen. Marvelous. Flick. That's the cat's name, Flick. What are you doing? There we go. Did you just want to come and say hello? Did you just want to come and say hello? Good boy. Come on, get down. It's like having... well, I won't say kids because it's not. But, you know, this cat is more of a dog, actually, than a cat. No, don't pull down that... oh, God's sake. Right. That was nearly down. What was I doing? I've gone and completely forgotten what I was doing. Username command. We were setting the description. So there's other things you can set. You can set the helpers, and you can set all sorts of other things when you're configuring it. So you could do this, and you could. It doesn't. PHP Storm hasn't got this up yet, so. Ugh. My damn cat. Yeah, it would help if these things were set up, if my PHP Storm was configured correctly. I thought this was all working beforehand, but it's obviously not. So you can set the name. This is the default name here. So I'm going to just change that to be username. And you can do, let's just bring that over here so I can actually see what I'm doing. This, whoops. Set, you can do set definition. And of course, because my IDE isn't configured right, I don't have any of the helper stuff, which is a bit of a shame. But in the definition, you can change various bits and pieces like arguments and stuff. So I'm just going to change that to this one here. So, for example, you could do, let's just change that to be this, and I'm going to need to have an input definition as the use case. We're going to supply a new, hang on a minute, is that not a, oops, wrong line. A new input option. And that's going to be name and n. Like so. We can also supply whether things are required or whether they're optional. So I could do the third argument here. I could do, whoops, input option, and I believe, I'm just guessing now, but I believe it's value, gosh, this is using the brain cells. As the IDE isn't set up, because the vendor directory isn't installed, maybe I should do that. Maybe that would make life a little easier rather than me guessing, because this is going to fall flat on its face. Value required. So what I need to do in this instance, let's just see. Save that. What's going on here? So we have that's on that one. Oh yeah. That's that one. That is that one there. So knock that back to here. Take that out. Whoops. All right, I'll deal with that in a minute. So let's go back to the console, because what I'm going to do, or the terminal I should say, what I'm going to do from the host machine is I'm going to do a composer install just on the local machine, just so I can actually have access to these things. I believe that this local machine is running PHP 7.2, so that should be okay. So it's going to run through all this. The reason why the PHP Storm isn't actually picking up any of these classes is because the vendor directory is empty, which is a bit frustrating. It's empty because the vendor directory is in the Docker volume, not on the bind mount in the local machine. So yeah, so it can't find it. So I'm going to have to do all this again, which is a bit annoying, granted. Do. My cat is behind the green screen, and he's probably waiting for the opportune moment to pull the green screen down. I can hear him picking away at it. It's a little bit disconcerting. Ba-ba-ba. Okay, this should hopefully be done in just a second. It's just running through all the bits and pieces. This is always a problem with when you're working with Docker and you're wanting to put things in the Docker volume, and you're running things from the Docker container that generates files like Composer. It becomes hidden from the host machine unless you run it from the host machine and then put it in the Docker volume. So now that is all hunky dory. We should be able to hopefully have a look and see what's going on. So let's go back into the code window. So I'm going to close that off. So we now have a vendor directory which is looking rather full, which is nice. However, these are all still undefined. I'm wondering if it's undefined because I need to restart PHP Storm. Sometimes you've got to do that when you update do a big update. Oh, you might be able to see it's indexing. So there we go. Okay, there we go. Well, there's no more warnings or errors, and that is going to make my life a little easier because I can do things like this set definition and just make sure that is correct and set definition, and that is good too. Okay, so I'm just going to move that out here just to make my life a little easier because I can't see anything on this small screen. Okay, so we have a set definition is basically a load of definitions that you can define, some being arguments, some being options. Those could have different requirements, different aliases, different shorthands and stuff like that, shortcuts I should say. So here we have name, and we've got the shortcut of N, and we have mode input, and it is required. So the next one I'm going to do, maybe, let's have a look. Because it's an array, so or it should be an array. I haven't set that up yet, but it should be an array of input definitions. Or sorry, no, it's not. It's not an array of input definitions. It is an array of input options or arguments. That is what I should have said. So you got the input definition. It is an array, and you can have multiple options, multiple arguments in here. I've set this to be value required. Let's see if there's anything else I can do to that. No, it looks good. So I'm going to return this test passed just for a quick test, and let's just hit save on that. I should now be able to go back to the command line, which is this one here. Let's just clear that up, and I should be able to do app console, bin console, like so. So it hasn't registered this command. I've got one more step to do. I forgot about that. Apologies. So I need to actually register this command, and you do that through bin console. This is why I wanted to keep this. I wanted to keep this in Git. So keep the Git file because you have to change this. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying that there is a new application. Well, actually, first of all, I should say I'm requiring the autoloader, and then I'm creating some use statements, some imports, creating a new application like so, and then I'm adding a test command, which is the test command here, to the console. So I need to do the same thing. So I need to do application. I could just copy all of this, to be honest. Application, and the new command is username. So user name, and I believe it ends in command. Yep, that's the Symfony way. Command. Okay, so that's now registered as well. So technically, hopefully, if I did that, then we get an error. Username cannot be found. Let me just double check why that is. Maybe it's an issue with the naming convention. However, I suspect it's something to do with the autoloader. So let's just close that down. Username command is spelt correctly. Oh, I need to use that. I need to actually import it. I say import. That is the Python. I guess it is an import, right? You're just creating. You're using the namespace. So that is user name command. Let's hit save. Go back to the old terminal here. Run that again. There we go. Okay, so we have this app username command that we've just created. And if I was to run that, so if I did, bin console, sorry. Yeah, we get an option with shortcut N already exists. It already exists. That's a bit weird. Why does that already exist? That's not supposed to be in existence. Let's go back to here. So we're now in username command, shortcut N. Let's just... Can I set that to be null so it's not, doesn't have a shortcut? Is that possible? Save that, go back into the terminal. Run. Run that command. There we go. This test has passed. Okay. So that's our dummy console command that we've just created. Let's just go back and make it a little bit more usable, or a little bit more elaborate, because we have that input here. We have name. So I can grab that input from this execution, and I can grab that from the input interface, I believe. So I should be able to do input get option, passing in name as that. So I should be able to do name is equal to that, and I'm going to change that to be bloody hell. Excuse me, my cat has pulled this down. Yay. So hello. And then we're going to just pass in, name. We're going to concat that to that. I think that's how you do it. That's how you did it in Symfony 3, at least. Let me just... Oh, God. No flick. He's now... Hang on. Excuse me. Listen, I'm trying to do a live stream, and you are pulling down my green screen. You're not helping. You're not helping at all. Come on. Out you go. Right. What was I doing? So, execute, hello, passing a name. Okay, I believe that's how you do it. because you've created an input option and you're getting the option from that. You can also supply a default, I believe, but because it is required, it should ask you for that. Although I'm a little intrigued as to why that didn't throw an error previously when I didn't supply anything. Let me just double check a couple of things. Go on. Come on. No, out of there. That is electric. That's not safe. Right. Okay, so we have the input definition. I am going to give that a shortcut, and we're going to just call that n again. And we are just going to run that through the terminal. And let's find the terminal. Here we go. Let's just do name is equal to Peter. An option with shortcut N already exists. I'm wondering if this is like an already registered. It looks like it, doesn't it? An already registered thing. Actually, I need to do arguments and not inputs. That's what I'm trying to do. You can tell it's getting late. So let's do that. Let's go back to here, and instead of input option, I'm going to do input argument, and this is going to be input argument. We'll have it as required. Okay, so this is, let's bring that out, make a little bit of room. So we've got now an input argument instead of an input option, which means that I can tidy that up. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. So N or name. So let's save that, go back into the old terminal. Argument to pass to must be type of integer or null. String given on username command on line 31. Ooh, that doesn't look great, does it? Let's have a look and see what's going on. Argument to pass to input argument. Input argument. Oh, I know what I've done wrong. There's no there's no shorthand there. So that's supposed to be name of the argument. That is the mode of the argument, which is required. And you can also set a description. So I'm going to have a description of what is your name. I don't think you can see this on the stream, so I do apologize. What is your name? Question mark. So if I now ran this again, without an argument, it should say not enough arguments, missing name. And if I was to do --help, we should get that out as a description. So we've got name, what is your name, which is pretty awesome. So this is the way I create console scripts, and it's always good to document your console scripts, especially when you're working in a team of people and you've got all of these console scripts and you need to have some sort of way of documenting the usage of these. Using these kind of things is very, very good and very important. So let's go back to code. A Mo. I think that because it's an argument, it's not actually technically an option. I might be able to get away with nope. I know what I'm doing wrong. God, you know it's so late. It's so late. This is getting the option. I need to get the argument. That's what I need to do. That's why it's saying that it can't exist. There we go. And of course, I haven't actually been showing you any of this because the terminal window isn't up. But if I was to run app username and then the username, which is Peter, it should go hello, comma, and then the username, which is Peter. And if I was to not include that, it should throw an error, which is not enough arguments, which is missing name. So if I was to do Peter like so, then that will return Peter. And again, if I was to have a look at the help, then you can see that it has that argument, which is name. So it's a very useful way of creating console scripts if you're running anything on the command line and you've got PHP. I'll just show you quickly. I mean, we've just got two functions here. We've got the configuration function, which takes an array in your your input definitions, and you've got the execution method, which will pull out the arguments from the input interface. You've also got the output interface here, which allows you to output things to the screen. And you can also do some very clever things with this. So you can prompt the user questions and then they'll type the answers to that in the terminal. That then becomes the input that you can then capture and then use. So you can actually go through a series of questions on this console screen. I'm going to leave it here though, because it's getting quite late. Green screen has already been ripped off the wall a couple of times by my cat. I'm not even sure if I'm going to push this live or public after this. But yeah, I just wanted to have a play with PHP, to be honest, because, you know, it's a PHP day tomorrow and for the rest of the week. And I've been doing so much Python recently. There's nothing wrong with Python at all. There's nothing wrong with PHP. It's just it's nice to switch your brain from one to the other sometimes, before you actually get a whole raft of bugs and stuff that I'll probably have to deal with tomorrow. So yeah, thank you ever so much for watching. If you are watching, also do check out the How to Code Well podcast as well. Got some very interesting talks coming up in interviews, very fantastic guests on the show. And yeah, thank you for watching. Happy coding, everyone. I'll see you again soon. Cheers. Bye.